for the kids at home. It's a one-stop solution for the family. And we want to expand that beyond California in the United States to all over North America. So all kids that needs help can get help they need. So I invite you to join me and my team on this mission to bring hope and smiles to millions of families worldwide.
Almost sick.
You're looking at me. Never. I'm sorry. No, don't go.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Fiona Xu, and I'm the Senior Manager of Business Development at CogLeap. I'm very thrilled to be your hostess for today's webinar. So today's topic will be Slay the Dragon, a parent's guide to regional center and a self-determination program. And our speaker is Mantin Lu. Before we dive into the speech, I would like to spend some time to introduce our company. So our parent company of CogLeap Center was established in 2015 in Los Angeles with multiple offices in the North America and Asia. So the parent company is Cognitive Leap. Can you please mute? Okay. So our parent company, Cognitive Leap, is holding all the technologies to operate CogLeap Center of Treatment. And our subsidiary operational company, CogLeap, was established in 2022 in Irvine, with offices in San Jose and Diamond Bar. Here are the pictures of our center, our headquarters. We always implemented a strength-based approach, and because we want to celebrate neurodiverse brilliance, where strengths shine and confidence grow. So we want to build the confidence for the children that have special needs. Our mission is making mental well-being accessible to all. Our services combine clinical services and non-clinical services. So for clinical services, we provide ABA therapy and occupational therapy. For ABA therapy, it's both in Irvine Center and our San Jose Center. And for occupational therapy, it's in our Irvine Center and Diamond Bar Center. And for our non-clinical services, we provide VCAT, HFS, and Move and Connect. So for VCAT, it's a virtual classroom attention tracker where the kids immerse themselves in the virtual classroom where there are so many distractions to influence their behavior and their physical steadiness. So it will track and measure attention and impulse control. If your kids are struggling with attention and you are suspect, and then you can bring them to our center to do the VCAT assessment. We also have a proprietary system, which is called Hope Focus System. It is a one-on-one brain training for focus, self-control, communication, and emotional regulation. So this program is very powerful to kids with ASD, ADHD, and other developmental challenges. Our most recent program is called Move and Connect. From the name, you can see that we have some movements and also build the connection among the peers within the kids. So Move and Connect is a social group class where the kids can play, move, and build social skills. So if you want your kids to have fun while they are still building social skills, you can consider Move and Connect. As part of the ongoing commitment to families and professionals, we host monthly expert-led webinars to covering intervention strategies, practical family tips, community services, and how to navigate government resources. So here are our most recent webinars. As you can see, we partner with Growing Minds to talk about how to thrive in the unique motherhood of neurodivergent children. Our speaker is Ada Xu, and she has a double board certified psychiatrist. And Lawrence Fong is associate professor at Stanford University, and he talks about how to embrace neurodiversity through strength-based approach. And we're also very honored to invite Sandy Rickard. She's a principal attorney at Rickard Law Offices and talk about trust, wills, and special needs planning. There were more than 300 people registered for that event. So it was very popular. Now it comes our most exciting part of today's webinar. I'm very thrilled to introduce our speaker, Mantin Lu, for today's webinar. So he is a TEDx speaker and a certified ISA speaker. He's also a disability advocate and experienced independent facilitator for the self-determination program. And he's a founder of the Success Spectrum movement and a father of an autistic son with a deeply personal understanding of family challenges. And he will share his personal journey with the SDP application. And he has over a decade of experience in education, leadership, and coaching. So without further ado, let's warmly welcome our speaker, Mantin Lu. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Can you guys hear me clearly? Give me a thumb up. You can. Okay, great. Thank you. Wow. Thank you for so many people joining us today. I have 4 screens in front of me, so I'm looking around. So, I'm trying to seeing how you guys going. So I want to know, are we all here? We want to understand SDP, and we are all families, you are already in the regional center system. Is that correct? Right? Yeah, so we will not talk too much about regional center, but I will talk about, actually, regional center is really, really special in California, I would say, because it's unique. But anyway, I'm Mantin. Thank you for Fiona's kind introductions. Thank you for that. But I still have to say that the information shared in this webinar is based solely on my personal experience and is intended for general information purpose only. It is not meant to serve as health, legal, or financial advice. Please note that the content discussed here is not tailored to any individual specific circumstances and should not be considered a substitute for professional guidance. So you can reach out to me after this webinar for personalized advice. Is that okay? All right, great. Thank you. All right. So thank you for spending today, Sunday, with us. So I want to make this a valuable time for you. So I'm going to talk about regional center, but the most important thing is the why, how, who, when, and what is SDP. So I heard people, there's some noise. Let me see. All right.
Yeah, Eastern. Oh, yeah. Okay, good.
All right. Okay, I mute it. All right. And during this webinar, this presentation, I will share a personal framework, Slay the Dragon, which helped me to overcome any of my challenge, and I hope it can help you as well. So Fiona talked about me already. A little bit more about myself is I'm a coach. I coach family with autistic children because I have one. My son is 19 years old now. And all the things I'm working on right now is directly or indirectly serving this community. I'm also founders and CEO of a couple of startups. They're also, again, serving this community. I want to give you a little bit of my backstory so that you know you are in the right place. Is that okay for any of you? All right, thank you. Before I graduated from university, I was an actor and a dancer. I worked with some very famous stars in Hong Kong. And during my time at university, I was in the top 10% of the entire engineering faculty every single year. After I graduated with my first class honor, I worked in the movie industry, worked with some very interesting projects. And then after I got my first master's degree, I started working in the gaming industry. I worked on many, many games, almost on all game platforms and all game genres. And my major responsibilities were building teams and building studios and managing studios. So by my late 20s, I felt like I had it all: career success, a beautiful wife, and our first baby boy. Whatever I set my heart to do, I achieved it and more. I thought I was in control, the master of my destiny. Or so I thought. My perfect world all changed. It's 2008. I'm in the doctor's office. The doctor tells me my 2 years old son is autistic and he will be autistic for his whole life. You know, I forgot to share my screen. Let me share my screen right now. All right. Here we go. Yeah. So when the doctor tell me my son is autistic, at that time, I don't even know what is autism. But in that moment, I felt lost. I felt crushed. Who am I as a father? Who am I as a man? Can anyone relate to this here? Yeah. And that moment begins the most difficult journey of my life. But it also led me to my most powerful discovery, that even the most terrifying challenge follow a pattern that once you see it, it gives you the power to fight back. This is the pattern I learned not just from my personal challenge, but from managing teams, managing studios, and the creation of countless game worlds. It is that the way we overcome the biggest challenge, both personal and professional, is exactly the same way we beat a difficult game. Does anyone play games here? I mean, any games, video games, mobile games, board game, tabletop games, and they all follow the same pattern. And this realization led me to a framework for approaching any challenge, no matter how big, how scary it seems, a framework I called Slay the Dragon. So before we move forward to talk about this framework, I am inviting you to scan this QR code. I want to give you more for just SDP today. I have a book, an ebook, Resilience Parenting, which is Finding Happiness While Raising an Autistic Children. Scan this QR code, send me a DM, ebook. I will send you this ebook within 48 hours. But if you don't have a Facebook account, I know some people don't, you can scan the right-hand side. This QR code is for my LinkedIn. You can send me a connection request, also put ebook there. I will send you that. And if you don't have both of them, just send me a DM on this Zoom. your email, I will send you the ebook as well. And I know you might want to take notes, but I want you to focus on what I'm saying instead of just putting things down on paper. If you send me the DM slide, I will send you the slide after this presentation. Or you can send me both ebook and slide, I will give you both. I give you 10 seconds right now, just finish it, pull out your phone and scan this QR code and do it now. 10 seconds. All right, let's move on. So the first element of my framework is spot the dragon. Let me bring you back to 2008, the doctor office. After the doctor told me my son is autistic, my first reaction is denial. I take him to different experts, hoping someone will tell me it was a mistake. It wasn't. I was someone who could achieve whatever I set my heart to do, and now I'm the father of a son who is totally unresponsive to whatever I said or did. I was no longer in control, and all my beliefs, my ego, and my entire world came crashing down. And I responded in the worst way possible. I escaped. I escaped by burying myself in work. I worked longer hours, took more business trips, just anything to avoid facing the reality at home. I thought more money and more success would fix everything. But of course, it didn't. As my son got older, my stress, my anxiety, and my pain just got worse. But my son had huge potential. He was smart and capable of so many things. But it broke my heart that he could not understand basic questions or respond to my love. I often felt responsible for not providing what he needed when he was younger, which I believe limited his growth. And every time I saw other parents easily chatting with the children, sharing jokes and stories, my heart ached. I felt like I failed as a father. I failed as a man. I failed. I felt like my entire life is a failure. And then one day, it's 2022, the room is full of people. There's a grand piano in the middle of the stage. My son, now 16, is performing there. He finished. Everyone clapped. It's beautiful. I'm very proud. I walk up to him, wanting to hug him. He doesn't respond. He doesn't even look at me. And at that moment, my emotion of shame, guilt, and regret all flood into my brain. But in that moment, I make a decision. I have to change. And only then, I found my real dragons and where I escaped. It was my fear, my guilt, my shame, and my resentment. And once I spot my dragon and face it head on, my journey of slaying my dragons can finally start. And it changed my life. And after we spot the dragon, we can prepare for the fight. So the second element is L, level up your gears. For me, after years of escaping, the first piece of gear I had acquired was the most difficult one. The decisions to stop running and truly face my reality. Then I tried to learn as much as possible about autism. I read books, took online courses, spoke with parents who raise happy autistic children, learned from experts who work with autistic kids, and even explore how technology and AI could help autistic individuals. And the most important gear I had to build was patience. It was learning to enter my son's world instead of trying to force him into mine. It meant showing up every single day, not as a manager trying to fix a problem, but as a father learning to connect. I had to level up my own resilience and let go of my ego and find strength in the discipline of being present every day. So what gears we have to level up to get into SDP? Now I want to talk about regional center. We have 21 non-profit agency contract by the California Department of Developmental Services, DDS, which provide lifelong support and services for eligible individuals with developmental disabilities. And all of this are very unique in California because we have the California's Lanterman Act, which guarantees individuals with developmental disabilities the rights to timely, appropriate, and professional services enable them to live with a dignity, independence, and full participation in the communities. So how to make our kid or an individual eligible for California Regional Center? They have a qualified developmental disability, including autism, intellectual disability, cerebral palsy, and epilepsy. And then their developmental disability has to confirmed begins before age 18 and significantly impact on 3 or more life areas, including life care, self-care, learning, mobility, language, self-direction, things like that. And you must be a California resident. If you're looking for getting into the regional center system, you have to contact your local regional center office. We have 21 throughout the entire state. And then you have to provide your diagnosis record to them so that they can evaluate the eligibility from the regional center. And after they finish the evaluation, they'll give you the decisions if you can become the regional center client. And then they will assign you a service coordinator, or as we know, case manager, they're the same thing, to develop your IPP. I'll talk about IPP a little bit very soon. And then you can begin to assess services and support. And this is very unique in California as well. You know, in Texas or some other state, the wait list most of the time is more than a few months or a lot, if not a year. So we are very lucky in California, have the regional center services, have the regional center system, so that our loved one can get the support and services they need in a timely manner. So regional center give us a lot of traditional services, including employment support, support independent living services, respite care. I think some of them, if you are regional center's client, you're pretty familiar with them. One of the things I want to talk a little bit more is the social recreation. I think this is a great program. We can use it to assess different kind of activities for our kid. But most of the time, we have to have a group interaction, social interaction element, which means there's still some restriction under this. But I think this is a great activity, a great program to have our loved ones to assess more social interaction and learning. Okay, so what is the difference between the traditional services and SDP? And the most important one is, for traditional services, the providers are chosen by the regional center, which means the providers have to be a vendor under regional center. And the rate, how we pay, is defined by the state. But for SDP, the services, they don't need to be rendered. And the provider payment rate is set by ourselves. And we can choose which providers we want to serve our loved one. But you know, you have more freedom, you have more responsibility. So for traditional services, your service coordinator, that's your case manager, help you arrange and coordinate services. But in SDP, you most probably most of the time is the parent to arrange and coordinate the services. So there's a lot of things we have to level up, like the person-centered planning, we have to understand it, the IPP, the budget development, spending planning, and even the financial management services. But before we jump into this, I want to talk about the 5 principles of self-development, self-determination, because that's the foundation of the program, self-determination program. Freedom means the right to plan your own life and make your own decisions about where you live, who you want to live with, and how you spend your time. It is the fundamental right to control your own life and choose without external restrictions. Authority means having control over a personal budget to purchase the services and supports that an individual needs. It allows us, the individual or parents for our kid, to decide how to spend the money and meet their specific goals, rather than just being, some limited services you can choose by regional center. Responsibilities means being accountable for making decisions in your own life, and you have to wisely using this public money for your support services. Because those money is provided by the state, is funded by the Medicaid program. That's why we have the responsibility to use it wisely. And it also means you have to be responsible to the community. For example, now you can decide who you want to hire and how much you want to pay. So you should provide a competitive employment and make contribution and participation into the community life. Support means the individuals can choose and arrange the people and resource needed to live, to work, and to play in the community. This includes building a circle of support with family, friends, paid and unpaid professionals, and having this support work together to help that individual or our kid to reach their personal goals. And confirmation means recognizing and affirming that our kid is the primary decision maker in their own life and services. It is the ongoing validation of their important role in planning, organizing, and overseeing the services they receive, ensuring they are in charge of their own destiny. These are the 5 most fundamental principles of SDP. So what is person-centered plan? A person-centered plan documents your kids' need, their aspirations, their goals, and their dreams. And person-centered plan provide people with a roadmap that empower them to reach the goal and dream of their own choosing. And remember, it's not about what's available, it's about what's possible. Let me give you an example. In traditional services, imagine you have a meeting with your case manager of regional center in the IPP team, talking about your case IPP. And you discuss the services of your child that the RC, the regional center, they don't normally provide. They might tell you, hey, sorry, this services is not available. But even you found the service, you want it to conduct in a specific way, they will still tell you, I'm sorry, it's not available. And even you found the provider, if that provider is not a vendor under regional center, they will just tell you it's not available. So everything under the traditional services system is about availability. But in the self-determination program, it's about the possibility, what's possible, because you are the one decide who want to hire, who you want to use, what service provider you want to use. And then let me give you another example. So just like this seminar is provided by Kotlib. Kotlib has a wonderful program, HFS. And I also use it with my son previously, and I think it's great. They use music and they use exercise, one-on-one working with the kid. So if you talk to regional center, hey, I want to use HFS, they will just tell you it's not available. And even you use social recreation, I know some regional center may be okay to let you use it, but most of the other regional center, they won't. Because as I said, regional social recreations, they have to have a group interaction, social interaction element. Therefore, if we want HFS, we can get into the SDP and we can choose HFS as one of the program for our loved one. So person-centered planning is that the person that is our kid, they direct the process as much as possible. And it is a supportive person to define their goal, their preference, and their vision for the future, which will emphasize that person's, which is our kid, their strength, their value, and the cultural identity by collaborating with the circle of support. And remember, this plan change as our kid grow. It's a living document. So that we can set goals and to support leaders to meet their lead. And please think big. I will talk about that a little bit more later. So also this is some value. I also want to, basically it's something similar to what I just said. But again, we presume they are competent. Even I know sometimes our kids, maybe they're too young or they're nonverbal, they're not very good to express themselves, but still, we presume them they have the capability to guide their own planning process. So we try to have them involved as much as possible. And we focus on the strength. And keep in mind that behavior is a communication. What it means is sometimes if our kids, they have a meltdown, or even they're pretty good some of the time, but when they see someone else in the room, they have a tantrum. What that mean? Maybe just because they doesn't like that person. So I'm just saying, I'm not that saying that it's a must, but there's a possibility. So that behavior, they use their behaviors to communicate. Sometimes it's not just work. And when do our person-centered plan, we have to respect cultural difference. Sometimes some people they are in different religion, they're in different culture, they may have some different things we have to consider. And keep in mind that we want everyone, they should live and participate in their community. So when we think about our goal, our support, we want to have those services, those supports to help our loved one to integrate into community. That's the ultimate goal. So what's the difference between IPP and PCP? Sometimes there's a little bit confusing. If you're a regional center client, you should heard about IPP, individual program plan, should be pretty familiar about it. So it's conducted by the regional center service coordinator. It's basically lists out all the need that to help your kid to get into the community. And one good news is starting earlier this year, now we have a template which all the regional center using the same one. So if you're not updating your IPP, maybe that's the right time to update it now. So the PCP is different. PCP is conducted by a facilitator that you choose, which means you can use anyone to help you to do the person-centered plan. Even you, as a parent, you can do that as well. But we are not we are not recommending this because most of the time, we as parents, of course, we understand our kids the most, and that's true. But because of that, most of the time, when we think about the dream, the hope, the future of our kid, we're kind of limited because we are thinking inside the box. If we have someone else to guide you in this process, you may be able to think outside of the box and think bigger. So it's all about the hopes and dreams of our kid, which includes the goals that can make them happy. And at the end of the day, you should inform the IPP, which means after you finish the PCP, you should update your IPP as well. And I want to tell you, IPP is more important right now because you heard about all those, our state, even the entire company, we are cutting budget. So now we have to have a more clear lead for our kid in regional center so that we can ask for services, if that makes sense. All right. So I want to know, are you still with me right now? Let me know if you can follow me. If you have any questions, write it down, but wait until the end because I have a lot of things I want to share with you. So at the end of the seminar, we should have time, dedicated times to answer your questions. All right. So now, what is the individual budget? Is one of the most exciting part. It's the amount of money you have available to spend on your self-determination program, which based only on services in the traditional system. In layman terms, your individual budget is the total amount of the most recent available 12 months of purchase of services, authorizations from regional center, which means the past 12 months, how much money your regional center is spending on your kid. But one more thing, it also includes the service authorized by the IPP team, but not currently provided in the purchase of service authorization. What that means is there's some service which is authorized by the IPP team based on your kid's need, but now you're not using it. Even though you're not using it, but they already authorized, those should be in your individual budget as well. So we have to establish our need for our kid. For example, now you have respite care, but can we have additional respite hours? Is your kid need support living service? Is there any social recreation activities you want to add more? Is there any health issues, health services, which is not covered by insurance that you want, that your kids need? If your kid needs personal assistant, transportation, independent living services, all that kind of things, and even more. So one thing I want to talk about is here, health services not covered by insurance. What I mean is our SDP budget, we said is the last resource money. What that means is if we have other services like insurance, they cover some of the things. For our kid, if they are under age 22, they have our school district covers the education part. Those things, for example, what you said, education should be covered by school district. But after our kids get to more older than 22 and 23, now regional center have to cover the education parts as well. So that's why the budget will be even more bigger when our kids reach 23. All right. But keep in mind that we said the PCP is a living document, which means your loved one, your kid, they will change. So whenever there's a change in circumstances, their need, their resources, we can adjust our budget as well. For example, when our kid finish school, graduate, or they move out from, for example, right now they're living with you, the parents, but they move out living alone, or they found a job, or they lost a job. So whenever there's a change in this kind of circumstances, their needs is changed, their resources change, then we can change our budget as well. But again, here's just remind you, when adjust your budget, the IPP team must document the specific reason for the adjustment in the IPP. Now, what is the spending plan? Spending plans create a roadmap of how you intend to use the dollar amount from your budget. It lists all the services, supports, and goods to achieve the IPP goal, the desired outcomes. And we must use category and service codes for each item, which including the estimated cost, the frequencies, and the total amount. If you want to hire an employee, also includes the employee cost, which including their wage, the benefits, and employer burden. What it means is if you are you're running a company, you know that we are not just paying salary, we are paying their benefits, we're paying their tax, we are paying all that kind of things, their insurance. And these things we have to consider as well. But there's one thing, I heard many stories like the regional center ask you to put on specific provider or employee's name on your spending plan. Even some FMS, which we'll talk about it very soon, will ask you to put down their name, exactly who you want to use on different services. But you don't need to do it. It put it on the DDS website, Q&A, it said, your spending plan should identify the type of provider that will provide each service. You do not need to name the specific provider. Here, just example, if you need assistance with personal care, you could indicate the service with the which is provided by the personal assistant, but you don't need to put down the name who is the personal assistant there. All right, after we talk about what gear we have to level up, now, the next element is assemble your team. Go back to my story. For years, my strategy was to face my dragon alone. But that only left me feeling isolated and lost. And the real change happens when I finally had the courage to stop hiding and start assembling my team. I found other parents of autistic children who really get it. They had walked this path before, and their stories and the advice they gave me something I desperately needed: hope. I also engaged with the experts, the doctors, the therapists, who could give me a clear plan, like a map of my life tasks. And this team, they didn't just give me information, they pulled me out of the isolation and let me know that I was not alone in this fight. So, who do you need to have on your team for your SDP? Here are the core members. Your child, who is receiving the services, should be the center of this program. And of course, including you, parents, and your close friends and family members who really understand your kid, and including paid and unpaid professionals. For example, the teacher, the therapist, the BCBA, the BT working with your kid. And of course, your service coordinator is very important as well. And if after you get into SDP, you want to hire employee, you want to hire different service providers, they are important as well. So employees can include support staff, personal assistants, people help community living support, or community integration support. What it means is you can hire someone just do transportation, to help you take your kid to different services. And of course, one of the most important elements is the independent facilitator. So that person should be a trained professional. They have experience navigating the SDP enrollment process, and they can help you to create a PCP. They can help you to do and find all the documents you need. They will help you negotiate budget, develop the spending plan, help you find resources, programs, and service providers that you need for your kid. And they can help you to choose the FMS and service model as well, which I'm going to talk about it very, very soon. And they can represent you and your kid with your regional center. So how much do independent facilitator, we say IF, cost? Good news, their services are free. Their services are paid by your regional center to help you enter the SDP, which means from now, you are on traditional services to get into the SDP. All this process is guided by an independent facilitator, which is free for you. But what if you want to continue use your IF after you get into SDP? The best way is you just put that into your budget so you don't need to pay it out of your pocket. So what does a good IF look like? They're a good listener. They should truly hear and understand what you are saying. So you should be the one doing the talking most of the time instead of this person. That person has to be professional, which including they respond to your call, your email, your request in a reasonable time frame. And how they respond, they should be professional. Adept communication means they should adjust their communication style to best fit your need. For example, you love talking on the phone, or you want video call, or you just want text message or email. That person should adapt your communication style to fit your need. And they should be the one provide information, but not dictate, because they only offer guidance and options to let you know what you can do. But you or your kid should be the boss. And they should be knowledgeable. They should be an expert in the traditional service system and the SDP process. They should also have knowledge about the financial management services and the generic community resources. Because essentially, a good IF helps you navigate the entire SDP process while ensuring that what you want and what your personal goals are always the most important thing. So that's some red flag. If you find an independent facilitator, they can promise you, hey, I can give you a big budget. I think that's a red flag, because remember, we have the responsibility to use the money. A big budget is not our goal. Our goal is to have a budget that is enough for our kid to achieve their goal. So the most important thing is enough. It's not the size. And most of the time, when you have an IF, you will sign some kind of agreement with them. If they ask you to pay them in any kind of form, or if they tell you if you want to switch using another IF, they will charge you something. So don't sign this agreement. This is not legal. And they shouldn't ask you for any money before you enter the SDP. And the best way to understand if it's a good IF is to interview them. I encourage you to interview them, talk to them, and make sure they really understand the process and can help you. All right, so where to find an IF? I know a lot of regional center on their websites, there are a list of IF, and the SCDD website have that list as well. And there's different kind of websites provide that kind of things. One of it is the SDP network. And I know that DVU Disability Voice United, they are going to launch IF list as well. And one other possibility is to go to your regional center. They have a local advisory committee meetings. You just attend those meetings. There's a lot of IF around, and you can meet them and talk to them. But again, the most effective way is to ask for referral. Ask for your friends and family. Their family is in a SDP, and they're happy about the services provided by the IF. Ask them for referral. I talk about, do you need the IF for ongoing support? There's some questions you can ask yourself. Will you need help adjusting your spending plan throughout the year? Because things can change, and you might need to move money around different services scope. If you have to do it very often, maybe you need help. Do you think you may need help in finding, some additional new or different services because your kids' needs evolve with time? If you need to change very often, you need more resources and you don't know how to find them, AIF may be able to help you. And remember that your budget and spending plans need to be renewed every year. Will you need help navigating this process? And sometimes things can go wrong, and you may need to advocate for changes or appeal decisions from the regional center. Do you want the support with that? If you have multiple employees or a complex care schedule, will you need someone to help you to check your financial or your management of those schedule for you? Are you feeling confident and comfortable managing all aspects of your SDP process on your own? Or would having an expert by your side make you feel more secure and less stressed? So it's often recommended, especially if you're new to the program, to have an IF help you throughout at least the first year. This way, you get a good understanding of the whole process before deciding if you want to take it over entirely yourself. But please keep it in mind, an IF is an expert in the SD process, and that person should be a skilled generalist, which means they should know a lot of things, but not all of things are expert. And which means for some of the tasks, for example, I talk about if you need someone to manage your employee because you have a team working with your kid, you might want to hire someone have management experience other than just a normal IF, because they could do a better job or cheaper. All right, now, understanding the financial management services, we usually just call it FMS. It is a company that helps participants like us to manage our spending plan and our budget. They make payment for services and supports which we outlined in our spending plan. They are a bridge between you, your family, and your service providers, managing the financial and employment-related aspect of your SDP. And there are 3 service models. Bill payer. This model is for participants who don't plan to hire employee directly. If you just use other existing service provider, like Colib for HFS, the FMS will just provide primarily like a bill payer. They handle all the payment. So after every month after you do the services, you don't need to pay for anything. The FMS will pay the bill for you. So they manage your budget, they pay invoice, and they provide monthly statements for you. In the solo employer model, you take on the role of the primary employer, with the FMS provider assisting with specific employer tasks. The FMS provider may handle payroll, tax withholding, and ensure all the payment, those tax are compliant and they comply with employment law. And you, as the participant, you retain the authorities to hire and fire employee. And remember, you bear the primary liability as the employer because you are the employer. The co-employment model involves a shared employer responsibility between you and the FMS provider. The FMS provider acts as the employer of record, which means on paper, they are the boss of those employees. They're handling tasks like payroll, tax, and insurance, while you retain some employer responsibilities, such as hiring and firing. However, it also means that the FMS, they can have a say about who to hire and who to fire. Okay, so how we choose a FMS? Right now, in the beginning of this year, I know that there are 23 FMS in the entire state. But not all FMS, they're the same. Some FMS only serve specific regional centers. So this is the first thing you have to know, which FMS serving your regional center. And you have to know the budget limit. Some FMS, they don't want to work with too high of the budget because how FMS work is the regional center give you a budget, but they are not giving the entire budget to that FMS. Let's say your budget is I just say something out of my head, 100,000. Your budget 100,000, but some which means regional center is not giving the 100,000 to the FMS directly, and then the FMS pay the bill with that money. Is that the FMS have to pay the money first on behalf of you, and then they bill the regional center. That's why there's actually a lot of risk under the FMS. Consider that right now we have so many financial budget cut in United States. If sometimes they just say, hey, we are not going to pay this bill, and then the FMS, they will suffer. So I know that some FMS, they are not taking clients with budget more than, for example, 120,000. Some is 150,000. So that is something you have to consider. And also we have 3 service models I just talked about, but not all FMS will take all these 3 service models. Some of them, they are not taking the solo employer model because it's very complicated. Because if you are using solo employer model, which means you are the employer and you have to understand the employment law, and which means there could be problem and the FMS provider just don't want to deal with that. And different provider also have different burden rate, and it's totally different. If you have a company, you run a company, you know that when you hire employee, you have to take care of the tax, insurance, different kind of compensations, benefit, that kind of things. It's something around 20%. Some FMS may have as high as 25, but some FMS, they have 18%, something like that. So what it means is if you're paying the employee, let's say $20 per hour, you have on top of it, you have to put that percentage on that hour as well. And one thing I think is very important is the employee and service provider onboarding process. Different FMS have different process. Some FMS, they exist for a very long time, like more than a decade. They have a pretty relatively old onboarding process. So they might communicate more like using mail or even have email sometime, I hope. But some FMS, they're very new. They have a very robust onboarding process. Everything is online and it will take shorter time because you want to make sure, and your IF should help you make sure before you start the SDP, all the services you are using right now, still in the traditional services, can smoothly transition into SDP. So most of the time, I would say most of the time, if your IF is helping you the entire process correctly, you'll have a very smooth transition. You don't even realize you change from traditional services to SDP because all the services, they just automatically continue right after you get into SDP. And that's actually a huge relief because I still remember when I was working for others, every time I change work, the biggest hustle is I have to change insurance, and which means my son's services have to stop for a while. Sometimes it's a long while. But the transitions between traditional services to SDP is a very smooth transition. Your services is kind of guarantees not being disturbed. Okay, so same as report and dashboard. For some very more traditional FMS, they might use mail to communicate, which means you won't get the data on a timely manner. Some more recent FMS, they are more tech savvy. They will provide you a dashboard. You can just look online. You know your spending, your budget, how much budget left in different category, which is pretty cool. And again, I highly recommend you to interview different FMS providers before you make the decisions. And of course, your IF should be able to help you in this process as well. All right. After we spot the dragon, level up our gears, and assembled our team, that brings us to the final and most fundamental element, the one that drives all the others. Why? Yearn for victory. For me, my yearning starts with wanting to connect with my son, but it grew into something more. As an absent parent during my autistic child's early years, I experienced a high level of stress, regret, and difficulties that I know many of you face. I often think that if there had been someone guiding me along my journey, things would have turned out much better. My son would be better, my relationship with my family would be better, and my life would be better. That's why my yearning, which became my calling now, is to be that person. I help parents raise happy and successful kids by first supporting you in becoming happy and successful yourself. This is the framework. But what does the victory actually look like? After I stopped running for my dragon, after I leveled up, assembled my team, and found my true purpose, the relationship with my son begins to transform in ways I never felt possible. Let me share just one small moment from that journey with you now. If you ever find yourself stuck in the middle of the sea, I'll sail the world to find you. I love you, man. I love you. I love you, baby. After I slayed my dragon, I not only reclaimed control of my life, it also opened up a whole new world. I now have a career helping families of autistic children, which brings me fulfillment and joy that I never felt in my 2 decades of corporate life. Now, I'm living the best time of my life. And the reason I share my story with you is that I want to let you know you are not alone in that journey. And if I can do it, you can do it too. And the reason I share my Slay the Dragon framework is that yearning for victory is at the very heart of the self-determination program. It's more than just a set of services. It is driven by the dreams, hopes, and vision you hold for your child and your family. through the PCP and the IPP, you don't just accept what's offered you. You determine the support, the services, and the spending plans that help your family move toward its highest goal. Let the dreams and determination of your children guide every choices you make. And with SDP, you and your family are truly the leaders of your own journey. But SDP is just one of the tools that can help you to be the parent you always want to become. To recap, today I talk about my Slay the Dragon framework, which we have to spot the dragon. Most of the time, we are not just seeing the challenge in front of us, but also the dragons within. And with that, we have to level up our gears, including learning new knowledge, new skills, new tools, and new mindset. But we don't need to walk this alone. We have to assemble our team, which can help us, can heal us when we are tired in our journey. And which all of these things, the most important one is we have to have the passion, our purpose, our mission to help our family, help our kid. And which we also learned the regional center system, PCP, IPP, how to develop our budget, spending plan, and our financial management services. Now, my questions to you. What possibilities can you imagine for your family's life when you have the freedom to choose the services that best fit your need? And how do you imagine your family's journey change when you are the decision maker of the resources that support your loved one? Here's the pathway to SDP. We start with attend and orientation, which you just go to your regional center website or the SCDD website. You can schedule an orientation. They should have one every 2 weeks. And then you create a PCP, the budget, spending plan, choose your FMS, and then start on board your employee and your service provider. And then you will get into your first year of SDP. Luckily, you don't need to do it alone. You have your IF to help you for free to navigate the entire process. And after you get into the first year, you can have your IF ongoing support, which is not out of your own pocket, but you have to put it in your spending plan. Now, this is my invitations to you. Scan this QR code. If you're still not understand, you're still thinking is that SDP is for you, for your family, for your kid, make a call with me. I will explain it more to you. Or you decide to go into SDP, now is the best time. Scan this QR code to schedule a call with me. I want to let you know, with all the budget cuts recently, all the things changing, the things I'm sharing today, it could change a few months down the road, which means getting into SDP would be getting more difficult, and the budget would be smaller and smaller at time. So please do it for your family, for your kid, to get into this SDP as soon as possible. All right. Now, I finished my sharing. If you have questions, now is the best time to ask. Or Fiona, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, thank you, Mantin, for giving us such an inspiring and educational speech. I believe every parents have learned a lot from your speech. And there are some questions in the chat. And I encourage every parent to raise more questions as we still have time. We will close the session at 11:30. So yeah, please take this opportunity. I think the first question is from Jan Chi. What is the minimum age for a child to receive supported living services?
Living services. It's a very specific questions, but I believe if your kids need, I believe after year 3, but I can look at it and I don't want to give you wrong information. I can please scan the QR code, even the QR code in my Facebook page that you can ask me that questions, I can give it to you. But I believe is if your kid is more than age 3, you can start having these services.
Okay. Another question is from Ray K. My kid is 8 years old. Can I apply for SDP?
Yes, definitely. Yes, I
Okay.
have clients now is 6 years old.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a question from Ron. I contacted the local regional center, but and it seems difficult for children with mental health to get in. Well, it's easier for children with autism. Do you think it's possible to make it easier for children with mental health to meet their 5 requirements and have a chance to get in?
My question is, have you asked your service provider why he says so? Because it's strange to me. Why? So my understanding is he's saying children with autism is easier to get into SDP instead of children with mental health.
I think that's his assumption.
I don't think that's the issue. So I will recommend you to have an IF to help you navigate this process. So that's a thing. And that's my experience as well. Some regional center or some case manager or service coordinator, they will talk you out of SDP. And there could be a lot of reasons. One reason is they're not very familiar with the program as still. They're still not very familiar with the program, so that they don't want you to do it. Or they feel like because SDP, most of the time the budget is bigger than the traditional services, so they also want you to try to talk you out of the SDP as well. But actually, that's not true. I don't think there's a problem. If you have a mental health issue, if you fit all those criteria, actually you should be able to get into SDP. It's your choice, not their choice.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think Chuan Le raised some concerns regarding the financial problems. So thanks, we are having financial problems. So I think the traditional route with service coordinator is a better route for us now.
I don't this is okay. Again, so number one, SDP is not for everyone. If you're using traditional services and you are happy about that, it fit all the need, yes, just keep using it. However, there's still really a lot of things we want to do, we want to use that we cannot use. Just HFS is a good example. But if you get into SDP, you have that freedom to choose what you want. So with the budget cut, I would say right now we're still not 100% clear. So one of the things maybe she's talking about is recently regional center they increased the rate of some traditional services, but there's an argument they are not increasing the rate for the SDP program. So I know there's some advocate organizations still talking it with the regional center and the DCC, including DVU, Disability Voice United. So it's an ongoing thing. And again, things change all the time. What I'm saying right now, it could change a few months or just a few weeks down the road. We don't know yet. But if you're getting in SDP right now, because the traditional service rate is going higher, your SDP budget should be higher as well, because it's based on the traditional services right now.
Okay, thank you. I saw Carol Wong raise her hand.
Thank you. I was gonna type since okay, I am not gonna type. I have a question. Is age 18 the highest the regional center will prove you qualified, or you can go in any age? For instance, for our organization, I can see people probably 30 years old. I can see that they had both mental pro situation and have some autism or something like that. Can they still apply for into region center?
So you're saying they are not in regional center system yet.
No, no, no.
Okay.
Yeah,
If
that's
that's
why
the
I'm
case,
learning right here.
so if that's the case, I encourage you to talk to your local regional center, but that's my understanding. If you can, so the thing is, why we said it's better to get into the system before 18, because you don't need to prove it. And now you have to prove that mental
Oh,
situation is before 18, if that makes sense. So you have to prove it. How? I don't know.
oh.
But you have to prove
Wait,
that
wait,
happened.
wait.
Yeah.
But if the child was determined diagnosed with mental challenges
Mhm.
before age 18, even now they're 30 years old, they can still go to regional center. Am I
Yes.
correct?
Yes. If you have
Okay.
proof, yes.
But if they start like a 22, then somehow we have to go back to prove it.
Yes, that's my understanding. I'm not a lawyer.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. That's good to know. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
sure.
All right. I think Ray K raised a follow-up question. Thank you for your talk. I would like to know that SDP, the budget directly from regional center. Currently, I am with traditional service with service coordinator. Sometimes there is a delay in paycheck to vendors, and we have
Mm.
to pay. SDP can solve this issue. Thank you.
You said you are with traditional services, and even though you have delayed paying the vendor, is that the question? I just want to make sure.
Yeah,
All right.
because he just said he had financial issues, so he didn't think SDP is the fit for him.
Yes, yes.
Uh,
Because can you hear
yeah,
me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. So we are with traditional service, and then now regional center directly pay to the vendor directly with the
Mm-hmm.
paycheck, but the
Mm-hmm.
paycheck came late, so we have to pay ahead.
Okay.
But I don't know that they're gonna pay us back or not.
Okay. Then why
So
you said SDP is not for you?
no, no, no. I'm asking this STB can solve this problem.
Oh, yes, because yeah, I totally understand what you said. If you're using social recreation, you have to pay out of pocket
Yes,
first and then reimburse. And
yes.
we did the same thing previously. But after you get into SDP, the finance management services provider, the FMS provider, they will pay the bill. So there's no money cross your hand if you are not yourself a service provider, if you understand what I mean. So all the payment is the FMS pay the vendor directly. You don't need to pay anything out of your pocket after you
Okay,
get into SDP.
got it, got it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So FMS should be in the STB program.
Yes. After you get into SDP, you can choose a FMS to manage your budget. So they will pay the bill. But it just ended all. I know there's FMS, sometimes they delay payment as well. But even they delay payment, is delayed to pay the vendor. It's not your business because you don't need to pay it out of pocket first.
Okay,
Yep,
got it. Thank you.
sure.
All right. There's a question from Zhanqi. I tried to start SDP in 2023, but the budget was too small, so it wasn't worth continuing. I stopped, and the regional center paid for the independent facilitator services at that time. Now I am trying to start SDP again. Will the regional center pay for my new independent facilitator?
So My understanding is in 2023, you tried to get into the program, but because the budget was so small, you stopped it. Right now, it's a good question. I really don't know. We can ask regional center. Maybe you can just ask them. You said you want to get into SDP. So let me make it clear. So you already get into SDP, but you stopped, right?
Yes.
And I
No,
don't think so because
yeah, I try to get in SDP, but they approve a budget is so small, about 10,000
okay.
something. I tell
Okay.
them I'm not going to get SDP. It doesn't worth because
Okay.
I need to manage everything with that small budget. So I said no, I give up. So we didn't get into SDP yet. So we'll keep us in traditional. After these 2 years,
Okay.
he's almost getting to 18. So after 18, he should get more
Yes.
budget. So
Yeah.
why I said after 18 because related to his college life.
Yeah.
So I hired a new IF.
Okay.
So made a new plan. See, this will be we prepare for him to get into age 18. So all those new plans will work with the new facilitator.
Okay.
So we send to regional center. I'm thinking about because the 2 years ago they paid for the IF. So right now I get a new IF. I said I want to get in the SDP. This is not again because we never get into SDP. It's
Okay.
still new. So I said, are they going to pay in full about the new RF?
Okay. So you already have a new IF. I think that person should ask that questions directly, but this is how I think. Um, most probably because at that time you don't have a spending plan, right? The first time because you have the budget, you feel like it's too small and you didn't move forward.
We have a spending plan. It's much more than what they give us. They just don't offer. They give a very tight. He said he's still in school. They give him 15,000 or 14,000 something.
Yeah.
So
So
it doesn't worth for me to hire people, train,
yeah,
and at
yeah,
that time it's a long waiting list to find FMS.
that's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. So
14, 15.
before we found the FMS, I said it doesn't worth
Yeah,
to get
yeah,
all those work. I stopped. I said okay, I will stop.
yeah,
I still in tradition, but now 2 years later, so things changed because getting older. I
yeah,
think, yeah, that's more service we need. I send it to the regional center. Said I hired a new facilitator.
yeah.
So we wrote the PCP, ask for the budget. So now we'll get the time to discuss the budget with the regional center to see if
Yeah.
they approve it. So I don't know if the regional center will put the facilitator or not.
So yeah, that's the questions for regional center. But what I think is seems like you did all the things. If your first IF already claimed those money, maybe most
Yes.
probably your new IF couldn't claim that money. But I think that person should ask before you guys do all the things, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. The next question, I believe it will be a very popular one. If my son just recently became the client of regional center, can I or should I start getting into SDP program now, or do I need to wait until he receives some traditional service? So regional center has some data of what kind of services he needs.
Yep. So I think that question is more like, should we try to make our spending more before we get to the SDP so that we have a better budget? That's how I think right now. Because, like I said, getting into SDP should be more difficult and more difficult. More restrictions is coming up, and the budget is getting to be smaller anyway. So my recommendation is get into the program first, and then you can have your budget grow when your kids grow. I hope that makes sense. That's how I think.
Okay. And the next question is raised by Hong Ying Liu. My daughter is 25. Can she get help for medical insurance and employment?
Her daughter is 25. Can she get help for medical insurance and employment? Medical insurance is not regional center's responsibility. If she has disability, you can have Medi-Cal, I believe. Again, it's not health advice, but you can check it out. She should have Medi-Cal to cover her medical insurance.
So
And
where do
employment, yes. Regional centers provide employment services, which means if you get into SDP, you can hire some kind of employment coach to help her in the employment. Or if her goal is to do some kind of employment and she has to acquire some skills first, then she can hire someone to help her to develop that skill.
is she too old to apply for the regional center?
So you are saying she is not in regional center yet?
Not yet.
Yeah, again, it's you have to prove she has that mental disability before 18. So you have to prove this. If you have
Proof. Okay.
diagnosed
Yeah, she has
document,
diagnosis.
yeah, then talk to your regional center.
Okay.
Yep,
Thank you.
sure.
All right, I believe this is the last question, and we are just on time. Yeah. So, yeah, thank you again. Thank you, everyone, for joining today's session. I believe I hope everyone learned something from Mantin's speech. No matter whether you are in the process of SDP or just start SDP, definitely reach out to Mantin if you have any further questions. And also, we hope you can stay tuned with Cogly because we host monthly webinars, and that will greatly help you to support your child. We appreciate your time and engagement, and I hope everyone can enjoy the rest of your today. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.